Music has been my whole life, really. I remember when I graduated high school and was thinking about what I was going to do, I thought, well, there's really nothing else I can do very well other than music. Music is how I met my wife, because we were both music teachers, and then my military career was all about music. My name is Dean Zarbinsky, and I'm the director of the Encore group. I'm originally from Iowa, and I graduated there with my bachelor's in music education. That's how I got really started in music as a profession. Taught school for a couple of years in the state of Colorado band, and then that's when I joined the Air Force, and I became an Air Force band musician, and did that for 23 years. Finished here in San Antonio as the commander of the Air Force Band of the West. I remember a lot of times in the military, people would ask me what you do, and I would tell them, well, I'm in the Air Force Band, and they would be like, really, that's your job, to be in the band? And yeah, that's my job. Encore is a beginning band here in San Antonio specifically for military veterans. Dr. Roy Ernst, who is Professor Emeritus at the Eastman School of Music, and he started a program called the New Horizon Band Program. And that's a beginning band program for adults really all across the country. People that are in those groups, they have to rent their own instrument and pay a fee each year to be a member of that group. And he really wanted to start a model for military veterans where it would be completely free. And Dr. Cowden here with the School of Music, they decided to set up the first group of that kind here at the UTSA.
I wanted to play piano ever since I can remember. And so that was a matter of having to ask my parents to buy a piano for me because we didn't have one at home. So I just begged for a long time until they finally relinquished and bought a brand new piano for me and secured a wonderful piano teacher, and that was it. I knew about New Horizons, and I knew people that participated in it, and I knew how much they loved the experience and how beneficial it was to them. And so it was something that I always wanted to do in every professional job that I had, to help start one of those. We are the host for Encore, so it's an outreach program essentially of UTSA Arts, and we are providing the space for them to rehearse in, and then it was just the logistics of figuring out how we were going to get instruments and funding, of course, so that we could provide this opportunity for veterans at no cost for them to participate. So it was a matter of raising donor funds in order to underwrite the first year. The expenses being instruments, instrument rental, and then also paying mentors who instruct the different instrument groups in small breakout sessions from the big band.
Okay, let's start again. 1, 2.
Encore was first introduced to me via email. I received a little blurb about what it was about, who was needed for it, as well as the mentorship. I love the dynamic of the sort of young student body collaborating with the community of veterans, and so I really latched onto that. Our first session, we had one trombonist who came in. His name's Eddie, and he was just a bundle of joy ever since he walked in there. He said he played in high school. He just ate up everything that I gave him, and he collaborated well with all the other trombones that I was mentoring. For him specifically, it was fantastic because he would share all the time how he would be practicing. When you have a student with that much excitement come up to you, then, the very next session and say those things, like, that's almost anything you could ask for as a teacher.
He was my tutor. He was a great tutor. I enjoyed him. Things that I already knew, but it's been 52 years, so I kind of forgot. I played 3 years in junior high, and I continued playing throughout my high school years. And that's when I joined the Air Force, and I never played again, until now.
I first started playing in a band in junior high. Played in concert, marching, and stage band. I kept my horn for several years afterwards, but within the military moves from place to place, and you pack it up and move it and back it up to move it, I eventually ended up selling my horn. I heard about Encore from the news broadcast and thought, hey, here's a good way to get back to it. The first day when they gave us our horns, I'm thinking, I can do this. I did this all the way through school. I can handle this. And it wasn't until I got the horn home and I thought, I'll just whip out a little B-flat scale. So needless to say, I put the horn back in the case, closed the case, went in the other room, and thought about having a good cry, because I used to be a pretty good horn player. I've had to work at getting back my embouchure, or my mouth, and I'm getting there slowly but surely. The first day when Encore met, it was more than just a gathering of a whole bunch of people. We had commonality in that we were all veterans. We all had that military affiliation, as well as we were all people who were interested in music.
I heard about the Encore program through my daughter. She texted me one day and she said, "Hey Dad, there's a military band at the college." And I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. And I wasn't expecting a whole lot. And then I got there and I was like, this is cool. It was reminiscent of being back in the military all over again. And now we get together and we actually play music.
So the veterans gather around 9 a.m. Around 10 o'clock, everybody stops and comes out and gets a snack and coffee and chats with each other for a while. And then 15 minutes later, they get back in the rooms and get back to work.
Mentoring veterans has its own perks. They're a lot more lighthearted than people like me, who's burdened by academia currently.
Because we're adults, you would think we would be above a certain level of, not listening to the band director, but we're not. And he's patient, and he's kind, and he's very thoughtful, he's very knowledgeable, and he wants us to succeed. He's got a vision for us, and that's what keeps us going.
Are you our trumpet teacher today? Awesome. Cool. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. No worries. The other folks are in the band room with me, and we're working on more band-related things. Working on our band sound, working more on counting and breathing and things that are common to playing in an ensemble, along with learning to play the music for the concert.
The program cycle that they're preparing for the end of this session is way more advanced than anything that I thought would be capable of a spontaneous program like this.
The music we're playing now is patriotic music, and that's going to be our presentation.
You have to take that responsibility upon yourself, and if you don't, you let the whole band down. And I don't think anybody that's in the band wants that to happen.
We're getting to the end of this semester. We've got this week, next week, and then after that's the second, and that's it. So, I remember when I was doing my master's degree here at UTSA, and one of the questions I was asked, do you think human life would be possible without music? And I said, absolutely not. Music has a very unique effect on the human brain. And so for these veterans, especially those that have been through so much, Encore has very quickly become something very important for them.
There are a lot of health factors that affect veterans in deep and serious ways. Depression and anxiety, PTSD. Being able to do a program that specifically targeted that population and in this city seemed like a natural fit.
The most beautiful thing has been working with their past struggles and their past experience. There's veterans who have opened up to me about mental things that they experienced through their service or any triggers that they might have. Just the amount of communication and trust that is built through that has been a very humbling thing. Sometimes I forget that I'm teaching because it's very much so a two-sided thing. Just as much as I'm offering them, they're also showing me how to be transparent and vulnerable, because that's so much of how they've embraced this program is their passion.
Every summer, Dad would put the tent up in the backyard and we would play privates and captains. Growing up, that's basically what the military meant to me. The majority of my Air Force career was spent right here in San Antonio, and then, of course, going off to school to learn to be a lab tech, and then actually going to work in a hospital, helping people.
I served in the United States Air Force. I trained in Laurie Air Force Base, and I was assigned to Dyess Air Force Base, was my actual first assignment. I was there for 2 years. Then I went to Vietnam. Not a happy experience for anybody that went there. On the first day, it's an experience. I'm not used to getting screamed at or getting a haircut like that. Because a lot of my troops were going to Desert Storm, I wanted to follow with them. When I volunteered, they kind of refused me because I had already served in Vietnam, but it upset me. I wanted to go back. I had to be with my troops.
I enlisted in 1993, retired 20 years later. 2014, I arrived here in San Antonio, and I've been here ever since. I was living with my brother in Houston, actually, at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about joining the service. And he was like, okay, well, you know, let's see how it goes. And I was like, all right. And then I told my dad as well, and he was like, don't join the... Well, he told me not to join a particular service.
There's my time in the desert in Baghdad, 2008.
The transition is like night and day. I remember the first few times going to the desert, that was difficult. A lot of people would count the days that they were out on deployment. I would count the moons because there's fewer of them. It made it a little bit better on the mind more than anything else.
I never spoke much about Vietnam or my time in Korea. I just kept it in. Vietnam was going strong. Protesters out there, they didn't like the military. I thought it was an honorable service. And of course, that was one of the reasons I joined, because I wanted to. I volunteered.
My active time, there's a lot of things I wish I didn't go through. There's a lot of things that I wish I could do over. There's a lot of things I wish I hadn't seen, I hadn't had to do. It's not the best thing to think about, but it's something I had to do to protect and defend those people that I love. I think the toughest thing for me was repat missions. And these are missions where a body would come from downrange, and we would send them home in a casket with a flag over it. And those were the hardest missions for me. They would, those were the hardest.
Essentially, I gave my country a blank check, and they fill in the amount, and in the case of some people, 100% their life.
I see the freedoms that other people take for granted. I got to send these guys home so that this guy could burn a flag. And I'm indifferent about that because I'm like, you don't understand what somebody went through to give you the right to protest the way you're protesting. I didn't serve because I wanted to hurt other people. I served because I wanted to love other people. Ultimately, that's why I was there. My first duty station was on Guam, Anderson Air Force Base, Guam. One of the things I had prayed for when I was in high school was that if God wanted me to go to the ends of the earth to find my wife, that I would do that. And Guam, if you've ever looked on a map, and in the middle of the word Guam is a dot, and that is the end of the earth. And that's where she was.
I met my husband in Germany. He was already at Hahn Air Force Base in Germany, and I got orders to go there. We were both in a medical career field. He was a surgical technician, and I was a laboratory technician. After about a year and a half, he got orders to England, and we still kept a bit of a friendship across the channel, as it were. And then he finally asked me if I would marry him.
I was graduating from junior high. I was delivering the farewell speech for my graduating class. As I was coming down from the podium, during practice, I saw her. She was gorgeous. I ended up marrying her. Another reason I joined the military, of course, was there was a way to support her, but we came through. Yes. 52 years worth of coming through.
When we finally were able to get married, seeing his face, seeing his eyes, I knew then and there any doubts I had were gone. He was a keeper. I ended up in San Antonio as a retiree, compliments of my husband. He asked me, and he says, well, where do you think you want to go? And I'm like, I really haven't thought about it. Has my nose turned red yet?
My wife contracted dementia, and I had to retire to take care of her. I knew I was the only one that could take the best care of her. I had ordered an oxygen machine because her cell count was going down, and she needed oxygen, but it was too late. It was too late. I was lucky to have her. I'm not sure I could do it for just anybody. It had to be somebody special like her. I couldn't deal with it. It was an emotion that I never felt before. I lost my mother, lost my father, but my wife was really close. I needed something to divert my pain. That's when I learned about myself. And in October is when I transitioned. You wanna give me a hand getting up? Thank you. I joined the choir, the Encore band. That got me thinking again and bringing me back to life.
My name is Dean Zarbinsky, and I'm very honored to be the director of Encore, this group that you see before you. It's very important that this program succeed so it can kind of serve as a model.
Rehabilitation, that's what it's all about. Keep their minds off what they might not want to think about. And even though it's only on Saturday, it means a lot.
Since I first started, I've improved quite a bit. I can now proficiently play a B-flat scale. I'm not going to put the horn in the case and go in the other room and cry.
There's a group of people that are coming together for a common goal. And you stand on that stage and you play the music, and again, people are applauding. Not because it's me standing up there, but because the group of people are making music.
When they become a veteran, when they leave the service, they lose their community. And so this is a way of providing essentially a new community for them, but a familiar community. It's hard to put in words how powerful that experience of expressing music with other people is. There's something internal connection that is really important and valuable, and there's not much of an experience to match it. It's a really wonderful piece of being a whole person.
We all set back there? Here we go.